welcome back to Sailing Saoirse.
Snap the bolt. Clean. Looks like the cleat's okay, so maybe we can replace the bolt.
Check out last week's video to see how we snapped our cleat.
Caught out.
Try to get some cat brown.
Hello, bird.
So as you know from our previous video, we sheared a bolt on the cleat during the storm. During that time, we realized these cleats had been fitted before we started work on the boat. Only realized now with the damage done that there is balsa between the top and the bottom fiberglass. So as a safety measure, as you've seen in the videos, or you will see in the video, we have removed a big section of the fiberglass and balsa underneath this area and reinforced it with a plate of fiberglass. Denver made a plate for us. I think it was about 10 or 15 sheets of fiberglass put together and then cut down and fitted underneath here. So now we have a good 10mm solid fiberglass plate underneath the top section of fiberglass that the cleat is now going to be fitted through. So it's probably about so big, so a very much a large reinforced area below the cleat going forward. So hopefully we won't have the same problem again, and also it protects our balsa from ever getting wet. If water does, we're going to make every effort to get this all sealed completely, but we also need to, it's nice to know that there's no balsa in the area that the bolts are going through the fiberglass.
What we're going to be doing today is building a fiberglass plate to replace the section that we're taking out of the midship there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple layers of fiberglass, and then once everything's nice and cleared out, we're going to cut it down to shape. So what we've done so far is we've ram waxed the board. We're going to then start building up layer by layer, let that sit, and then hopefully pull that off nice smooth fiberglass sheet and go from there.
So that is the plate that Denver made up. All the layers of laminated fiberglass now being cut down to the size to fit into the hole in the ceiling and under the cleat, obviously.
So the next step we're doing now is, as you can see, we've cut the plate out to the required size. Fortunately, it is still a little bit too thin. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand it down, make sure everything's nice and flat. Give it a nice texture, a nice surface to grip onto, do another 5 layers, and hopefully that should thicken it up enough to fill the gap.
Team effort here today. We've got Colbin now has marked out the area that he's going to chop. So the steel backing plate for the cleat has been removed, and that is the area. Just show what you're going to do there.
So here was what the steel backing plate was, and obviously there was nothing wrong with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut this part of the fiberglass out, because it's actually balsa core underneath here. It's maybe like 5 layers of fiberglass and then balsa core. So we're going to cut this out, remove the balsa core, put in a solid fiberglass plate, and then bolt through that, and then we still have to figure out how to fix the top because it's compressed into the balsa. But once we clean out what's inside here, we'll be able to see the damage on the other side.
So this is Emil, the fiberglass expert.
What expert?
It was on TV.
So we're just busy making some DIY thickened resin here. And it's gonna go down very well. Very tasty.
What's that?
This is just some cotton flock that we just cut up because we want to thicken the resin up a bit, and it's a good way to do it. And it also makes it nice and strong. It's just to fill like a little cavity. So you can see it makes it nice and
Thick enough not to run.
yeah.
So we're gonna glass this plate in. Denver made it yesterday. I think it's about 15 layers thick. Emil's here helping us at the moment, and we're gonna stick it in to try and reinforce the cleat.
What have you done here?
We've hollow taken out the first layer of the balsa core, and this is the top deck layer of fiberglass. And this thing's gonna go in there like that, and then yeah.
Can you take those for you?
Thank you. Let's have a look here. So we got the hot sauce. We got the hot sauce and the curry. So it's like pretty wet, so I'm not gonna wet it out up there. Otherwise it might just be too much resin everywhere. It's just to get onto that balsa there so it doesn't sit all loose and stuff. Well, let's see how it goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting all the bubbles out and everything. See, it'll sit nicely now.
That just build up that little bit that's... This is also a really good way just to get your first like sort of
Layer of cloth on there. You'll see it's easy to get all the nonsense out, you know. And it also makes it a smoother finish, you know. There's not a lot of effort to like all sand down and stuff and make sure it looks straight again. The key is to just sort of try and get all the bit of air out. I'm just doing this because it's a little bit low in that area, just to build it up a bit. guys, there's the peel fly going on. That's just to make it nice and smooth, and it also takes the styrene out of it. So that
What's
you actually,
Like that waxy layer.
it's like that waxy chemical after you.
So that's called styrene.
Yeah, actually I don't know exactly what it is, guys, but it's in there, and then it ends up in this stuff, and then you pull it off afterwards, and then it's great.
And if you don't put this on, it's a hell of a mission to sand.
Yeah, and then it's not great to sand. It's good stuff. Get some of it, it's great.
So yeah, thanks Emil for giving us a hand yesterday. It appears that we might have needed an extra layer over this plate because it is slightly sunken in at the moment, and I don't want to have to fill it with fairing or something like that. So what you're going to do is just put an extra square or two of fiberglass over the top, and then hopefully we'll have perfect finish in a real world. So these 4 bolts over here are for a rub rail, so that our mooring lines don't chafe the fiberglass. And so what we had to do is actually remove the rub rail so that we could laminate the plate over here all the way across to there. So you can see now we've re-drilled the rub rail holes, and now I'm just busy putting the rub rail back in. And because there's balsa in that area, because we removed the balsa, we removed the balsa over here, so all of this area that's still got balsa in, we want to make sure that that's really super sealed up. So you obviously don't want to go overboard with the sealant, but you don't want to put too little and end up having water eventually seeping into your balsa core, because then you have a real big problem on your hands there. So what I'm doing is just getting a good amount of sealant around where the washers are going to go, so that there's no chance that moisture, because inevitably this is going to be the shower, so there's going to be a lot of moisture in this area. So we just want to make sure that it's very sealed. We can go with the front one. They're going to start tightening up now. So we had our midship cleat that got ripped off the other night, and so we've put it all back together with our laminated plate underneath. And yeah, hopefully it won't break again. I really doubt that it would. We'd have to rip a square out of the deck like this. There's a big backing plate underneath here now of 15 layers of fiberglass, so the thing's bloody solid.
Robin also started the dressing room teak floors that had to be made up and fitted in. Colbin then varnished the marine ply flooring that goes under the teak just to make sure it was all nice and sealed.
So we are busy with our floors. The floor teak and holly inserts for the cabin floors, and I've done a couple of coats of varnish. In between the coats we sand down and clean with acetone. I've been told that teak wood is very oily, so we need to clean down with acetone between coats. I find that works. It gets all the dust out of the texture of the wood. And we are using International Gold Spar varnish, which we found to be very good. This is the next phase of the floors. What is it that you're doing, Denver?
We're busy dry fitting the floors and then measuring off where our cleats are so that we know where to drill. And then tomorrow we're going to do a bolt down seeker, and then probably put the holly and teak down as the finishing layer.
This is the basic structure of one of the floors for the cabins. We've got the marine ply floor on a framework which is going to be screwed and epoxied into pleats around the edge of the floors. Each floor obviously has a hatch. Each floor, that's a hatch to get into the bilge. We're making up the hatches. So that is the start of the hatch that goes into there. That'll be the teak finish on it once we're done. Over there are the pre-varnished teak cover, the laminates that go onto the top of the floor. That'll be the finished product. So we've got this far. Robin has painstakingly sized the board that will fit in here. And before it gets the fancy holly and teak on the surfaces, we've also got to edge the edges. So we're using teak laminate that will go one piece on each side of the, so one on the floor, one on the hatch before the holly goes on, and that will get sanded down to the right level, and that's going to be our very fancy floors once we're done. Very slow, painstaking job. This is the step into the cabin. We'll see that when the floors are in place. I'll show you that. But slowly but surely get in there. As I'm doing the floors, Robin has now stuck down the holly and teak. He's done a beautiful framework. Again, bigger than we had expected to put in initially, but because of the holly and teak that we are using, that came with the purchase of the boat, we are having to adjust things slightly. This will now be the new cover for that's the hatch underneath there, so this will be the finish. That's going to be the new position for the latch, and it's going to look like this one. So obviously standard, and that's what he's got to do. That's the detail that he's got to create now underneath of that hatch. And then that will be the latch for lifting the hatch. And I'm Dr. Seuss. Here's phase one of the latch cut out. That. It's going to be lovely. This then fits on top of this one. And Robin is in the process of going to do it with the Dremel shortly. He's doing it with the chisel at the moment, but the Dremel will work better, I think, and faster. So that will be the underside of the latch, has to fit in there. Well done. Right, so after a little bit more adjustment, we've now got it fitting exactly flush. So it gets screwed in and re-varnished. Good to go.
So we are still waiting for our door frames, but look at that beautiful teak floor. It all fitted in perfectly. So we're just one step closer to the end. We took a break from work this week and we're able to spend the day with friends that are pretty much family and celebrate Jamie Lee's birthday. And what's a birthday without cake? So I baked a vanilla cake with Turkish delight icing and Turkish delight and caramel popcorn topping. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our videos, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. If you want to see more, please click subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted whenever we've got a new video. See you next week.